Hello, so my name is Rebecca Loads and I am responsible for what we call our cluster of career accelerator programs at ESMT Berlin. It's fantastic that we finally this year managed to welcome a class which is 48% women and 52% men, so kind of tantalizingly close to the idea of gender parity. And this is a huge jump from previous years. I think we've been exceptionally fortunate. So typically industry standards are kind of like a 39% women, I think, on average. So this is a fantastic achievement. And the reason why we think this is so important and we're so proud is because as an MBA student, when you are studying in the classroom, you are learning from the faculty member and you're learning from each other. So for us, it's really important that we create as diverse a class as possible in order to represent very different worldviews, very different backgrounds, industries, cultures, genders, in order to give you that robust discussion and in order to prepare you for your international career once you graduate from the program.
So the Equal for Europe project is a consortium of 6 universities. So there's the project in Berlin at ESMT, but there's also 5 other universities across Europe. And all of the institutions have a focus in arts, humanities, medicine, social science, and business and law. And the aim of the project is to create gender equality plans at each university that is tailored to their institution. And the idea is to remove barriers to recruitment, retention and career progression of female researchers, to address gender imbalance in decision-making processes, and to integrate the gender dimension in research and innovation content. The idea of gender equality at business schools, particularly at ESMT, the reason it's important is because we educate leaders of tomorrow. Lots of these students who come here either are successful business people or will become successful business people. And the idea is that they will care about gender equality and they'll understand more about gender equality from now, and they'll take it into their future lives and whoever they work with. And hopefully they will integrate that into their businesses, and these will continue to shape society and to create a world of more social justice.
It's a really great question, and I wish I had a silver bullet answer, to be honest. One of the things that we historically see is that as a program requires more work experience to enter into it, we typically see the proportion of women applying and admitting to the program actually going down. And I think this is unfortunately reflective of some of the broader trends that we see within the workforce. However, over the past 5-10 years, I think we're seeing kind of like some fundamental shifts. So we are seeing more women prepared to invest in themselves in order to develop professionally, in order to have kind of like bigger dreams, potentially to really push themselves to explore new opportunities available to them. And as a result of that, we are actually seeing more women apply. And as we see more women apply, we also have those role models going out who are achieving things, who are kind of the CEOs. We see board mandates across a number of European countries in order to really push, and all the recognition of the fact that equality at work, gender equality, diversity at work is fundamentally important, and companies that are more diverse perform better. Over the past 50 years, what we have seen is the proportion of women who could even go into graduate management education. So remember that in order to do an MBA, you need to have studied for your first degree. So therefore, what we've really seen is that in earlier education, the participation rate, the graduation rates of women at all levels has increased. And so now we are starting to reap that benefit with graduate business education, and also businesses reaping that benefit as well. So therefore, women have way more opportunities available to them. Companies want to bring them in because they recognize the value that they bring. And we're here to help those people who want to invest and to accelerate their career, invest in their future, and therefore become the future leaders of tomorrow and join the ranks, which are becoming more equal. Of course, I'm going to say not equal enough. I would love to see gender parity everywhere. Unfortunately, we are not there. And so therefore, we need to make certain that we are helping to push women forward so that they can and we can achieve that.
A big part of our success so far has been support from leadership. I think that is one of the main ways that you increase the share of women in higher levels, when you have the backing of people who are in power. So one of our strengths of this project is the fact that it's a consortium of 6 universities. We work with knowledge sharing, bolstering of spirits, and sharing of resistance and how we overcame that. The help of all of the universities together who are going through a similar thing, who have created various gender equality plans that have similarities and differences, is that we are hoping to create a European-wide change in corporate culture, but also within business schools and institutions. And I think that this is one way. I don't think this is the silver bullet. I think that this is one step towards creating a space where more women can reach levels of leadership. But I think that actually the question itself is not 100% about gender equality, because gender equality is not just women in leadership positions. It's also, a position or a world in which women at every level have equality. We've done a lot already. The aim of the project is not just about awareness raising, it's also about actions. So the gender equality plan is full of many actions, some of which we've already started and achieved, and some of which we're working on at the moment. The results speak for themselves. We've worked alongside lots of departments within the school to make change. We worked with facility management to create gender inclusive bathrooms at the school and to stop period products in all of the toilets. This is a big step because lack of access to period products causes people to go home from school or work, which affects their educational, their professional life. Likewise, it also breaks down stigma and taboo. And the idea of having gender inclusive bathrooms means that there's a safe and comfortable space for everyone to go to the toilet. We've also worked with HR to work on making work-life balance policies more accessible and visible. This is really important for gender equality at research institutions, especially when you're trying to encourage more women to work here, work and study here. Currently we live in a society where caring responsibilities continue to fall primarily on the shoulders of women. So it's important that the policies that we have are accessible and visible to the people who need them. And we also take into consideration that this is an international institution. Students and staff who come here oftentimes haven't lived in Germany before, and it's really important that they know what their rights are and what they have access to, not just from the school, but also from the German government. So that's really important to creating a more equal and visible policy. And we've also worked with the compliance officer to update definitions of sexual violence in the code of conduct, and to create a video, which many of the new students will have seen this year, but it's also available on YouTube for the public to see. The idea is that we are being very transparent about how we support staff and students in the case of sexual violence or harassment. And the idea is that if this is to occur, people have an understanding already of how to deal with it and who to go to and what processes are in place. And we've also worked with programs, the program managers, to offer workshops to students on sexual harassment and assault. And the idea is to create an atmosphere of safety and respect. And these have already been rolled out this year and also last year. We have done a lot of action already. We've already worked quite hard since April to implement lots of these initiatives. And we've seen just through awareness raising and discussions and creation of the gender equality plan, discussions with leadership, some of the actions which they've taken have increased the female faculty from 14% to 28% between 2019 and 2022. Our new cohort of MIMs and full-time MBAs is gender equal, which means you have equal amount of women and men. And our share of women in decision-making bodies is improving as well. So I would say yes.
What's really interesting is that we actually haven't made women the focus of a specific campaign. So therefore we didn't start last year and kind of say, okay, we're going to do this. And we also don't believe that kind of slapping a photograph of a woman on every single brochure is the way to go. That's not our strategy. So therefore, yes, we are definitely talking about the fact that we're at 48%. And actually for next year, for the 2023 intake, because we start in January, we are again in the same kind of ballpark, which is absolutely fantastic. And hence, I think we're starting to see an actual sea change in women investing in themselves. What we do, however, and it's interesting, is that we have something called our Responsible Leaders Fellowship. And so this is something which, as a graduate of ESMT, we would fund you so that you can go and apply your MBA to an NGO, a startup, a social organization in a developing country. We pay you a stipend, we pay your, so your airfare, your travel there. And we see actually that we have a high proportion of women in our class that take this up. And so therefore we're also reporting and presenting, so they're getting to see and experience exactly what the benefit that their qualification and the program can bring to them. And of course, I think alongside with a lot of other business schools, yes, we do participate in female-only events, or those events that are targeted at women seeking graduate business education. But we also want to do more to raise the profile of, the business impact that women can have, the impact that business has on the world. Because irrespective of whether you're working in an NGO, in a social enterprise, in a big kind of multinational corporation, business is at the heart. It's how we get stuff done.
My name is Shruti Jahagirdar, and I grew up in India in a city called Pune, which is not very far from Mumbai. And I studied petroleum engineering, which is already, it's a nice thing that I'm here today, because when we talk about gender, petroleum industry is one that has the most skewed ratio of men to women, especially in oil companies. Then I was selected in Shell, and of some 200 of us who applied to Shell, only 7 people were selected, of which only 2 were women. And it's very easy for men to say that, oil industry is trying to increase the number of women, so maybe as a woman applicant you have a better chance. Well, then why is it only 2 of us out of 7 who were selected? So definitely, first of all, ESMT has been revelatory for me, because I have never been in a women's majority environment ever since I studied petroleum engineering. So that is wonderful. The second amazing thing about being in a class with 50% women, there is one more unique thing about our class, something I didn't quite expect, is a lot of us women are also well above our 30s. We are mid-30s or early 30s. So even there's sort of a healthy breakup. And that's something that I personally really appreciate, because these are the ages where women start sort of falling back, because other anxieties or other life situations, goals take over.
I would say that resistance comes from everywhere. It's not just, international students or students of different culture. I think that even within Germany itself, you see resistance from anyone, really. I think society at large, regardless of culture or religion, is a patriarchy, or has many patriarchal aspects to it still. And I think that resistance is often the sign of people realizing that change is happening. And I think that one of the ways that you know that you're doing something to improve gender equality is that you meet resistance. So I think that it's something we can welcome, to know that resistance is there because we are trying to make good change.
I would first of all say be available, because be available and be heard on social media. Social media can be good and bad, but if you know why you're on it, you will see that women will approach you. They will look at your content. They will, for example, on Twitter, hear what you have to say and then interact with you. And so I would say, first of all, I try to be heard on social media. I'm very open about my opinions on equality and social justice as well. I mean, I think all these topics are interrelated. Patriarchy, for example.